Hi guys, so Sunday the 20th of June 2021, so welcome to my Sunday live. I'm just going to shift that ever so slightly. Yeah. So yeah, as you may be aware of, for those who have joined me before, I've been reflecting on the journal that I'd been keeping since the original lockdown, which was March 2020. And recently I've been revisiting and sharing some aspects of that journal, which was essentially a dear mum, as in my mum, and dear Kaylee, my daughter. And it was my way of trying to connect the two, because for those of you who may be seeing this for the first time and haven't seen the others, I mean, my mum died, 22 years ago now. But for me, it was a way of connecting my, sort of time with Kaylee and my daughter and my mum to have, some level of relationship and communication, even though obviously my mum's dead. And I know when I went into the first lockdown, that felt very strong. And coming back to doing what feels right, intuition, so on, I just knew deep down that felt the right thing to do. Hi Mandy, really good to see you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a couple of pieces from my journal, and I'm going to share something else with you. So this is back from 2020 in April, and in fact the actual first date I'm going to share for this one is Thursday the 16th of April 2020. So this is to my dear mum. So it says, "Dear mum, I'm sharing on my live today about a part of why I coach and help others. It's part of yours and Dad's story, which in turn becomes mine to create into something else. It's the potential you must have felt for Dad at one point and for each other, but somewhere it got lost in life, lost in translation, lost in heaviness, lost in tiredness, and so on. I want to be able to help create better lives for others. And my part of the story is taking both the strengths and the challenges that I may want to try and take forward into my own life. And this means not having so much arguing, not having so much conflict in my own intimate relationships, to have more honest conversations with my daughter and talk person to person, to know it's okay to allow myself to feel and be more vulnerable, to know it really does take a lifetime to do the work and affect yourself in a positive way that can help others." And then my next posting in my written journal is Thursday the 16th of April 2020. "Dear Kaylee, I've been reflecting a lot on my own upbringing and the impact it has on how I want to be with you. I felt at times a bit unsure if I could ask or say certain things to my mum, but that's the way she'd been brought up. So there were some conversations that I felt were a no-go area. With you, I want to be able to share things on a different level, and I want you to share things with me, to be honest, to challenge me if you feel it's right. I do feel you have been empowered to do this more. When things were difficult a number of years ago and you maybe didn't agree," it wasn't a maybe, it was that you didn't agree with my decisions, you were angry at times and shouted a lot. I found this hard and also hard to hear you, and at times I felt like I shut myself down, almost felt like I couldn't find my voice. And I know you were angry, so you wanted me to speak. And I think it can be hard when you're trying to give someone a voice to get that balance. So I definitely feel that I enabled you to have more of a voice than I did with my own mum." So that was my posting in my journal for the 16th. And so my next posting then was Friday the 17th of April 2020. "Hi Jan." And I've put, "Dear Mum, I was on a call today with other therapists and coaches. I know you worked hard to look after us and protect us when we were younger, but at times you couldn't always stop the tension and arguments between you and Dad. I know you tried your best. Family is important to me. That's why I still try and maintain contact with Dad's sisters and Nan's sister and my cousins. They've also many different stories to share that contribute and add to my bigger picture. So I recognise that it's even more important for me, now that you and Dad are not with us anymore, to be able to connect with those people. And I do miss you. And then Friday the 17th of April, next posting, I've put, Dear Kaylee, I was thinking about my mum when we were younger, and even though she tried really hard to look after us and protect us, she still could not stop some of the arguments between her and Dad. And it didn't help if he'd been out for a drink and spent some of the money she needed for the shopping and to look after us. So for me, it was always really important when you were growing up that if me and Dad had something to discuss, I wouldn't want it discussed in front of you, especially if we had a different view on something. I'm not saying you can't be honest and have disagreements at times, because that's also part of reality. But I think if adults have things to be discussed, then generally they should be discussed away from the children. I don't think arguing and shouting in front of your children is really okay and acceptable if it can be prevented. I do think it can create anxiety and tension, and I wanted a calmer space for you growing up. Obviously, when me and Dad separated, that was a difficult time for all of us, but I really hope overall we created a positive, safe, calm environment for you to grow up in, and trying to give you lots of social opportunities that I perhaps didn't have when I was younger. I think that when especially we used to go down south to the beach up, that was a really lovely different environment for you to experience, very different from an inner city place. And I felt that that gave you lots of other really good opportunities. And so that was my insert, if you like, to the journal. And then connecting with that, I wrote this a while ago, but I then felt when I was talking about my mum and dad now, it connected with how I want different things for me and my daughter in my life moving forward. I created this piece called The Reason I Coach. So I'm going to read this to you. I'm looking at the photo of a fresh-faced boy of about 12 years old. It has an air of innocence and so much potential ahead. I wonder what dreams and hopes he has for the years ahead. And then I feel really sad, because I know this person's life and potential has been unfulfilled. Not only unfulfilled, but cut short in so many ways. Now I'm looking at the photo of a girl about 14. She has a big grin on her face. She's got lots of big curly auburn hair, and it looks like the wind is blowing through her hair. And again, a fresh face of youth and innocence. I wonder what she dreams of when she's lying on her back in the garden, watching the white fluffy clouds go by. And then once again I feel really sad, because I know this person's life and potential has been unfulfilled and cut short in so many ways. Now their story is not particularly unique in many ways. In fact, it probably resonates with many thousands of people living their lives from day to day, watching the pennies and wondering how they're going to afford the next bill or the next pair of shoes needed. Two people who at one point in their lives must have been so in love, had so many hopes for their future together. So when does this change? When does it change for anyone? The honest answer to this is, I don't know. I am not them, and I don't know all that happened. I will never know their feelings and thoughts, because now they're both dead. However, I know what I experienced growing up and listening to other family members recount their stories. So some of this story is my direct experience, some is from other family members, and some is me imagining I know what they may have thought and felt, trying to fill the gaps in, if you like. And there will always be gaps because I do not have their actual voices now. I know my mum and dad both came from families that were very proud and instilled in their kids a sense of doing the right thing. I know my dad was a really good artist and wanted to go to technical college to develop his skill. I know that even at this point in his path in life, this was partially set when his dad said he wanted him to go into the family polishing business instead. Now, I don't know how Dad felt about giving up his opportunity to do something he loved and he was really good at, but he did that. And I know that a number of years later, the business went bust and Dad had no qualification or skill he could use. He met and married Mom in 1967, and before long I was born the following year in 1968. My brother was born 3 years later, and then my sister the following year. So they were fairly newly married with a young family of 3 to feed and clothe. Life couldn't have been particularly easy as we lived in a 2-bedroom council flat on the 7th floor on a council estate. Now I'm sure there must have been some happy and fun times amongst the difficulties most couples face bringing up a young family. However, when I did a speech at my dad's funeral, the one thing that struck me was I don't remember seeing him really happy for a long time. This realisation really upset me. I had to delve deep into the recesses of my mind to really remember some happy times. And eventually, I did remember some. Like us spending all day at the park with our sandwiches and playing football. Like Dad drawing us pictures of planes and cartoon characters. But the truth is, I remember a lot of arguments as well. I remember Dad spending some of his money on betting on the horses or having a drink at the pub. I remember Mum having a go at him because we then had very little money as it was. I'm not saying Dad exactly spent a lot on these things, but when you have very little and each penny counts, this can begin to cause resentment between two people. As I got a bit older, I remember one particular argument that ended in both of them physically coming to blows and me screaming at them to stop trying to come between them, and I tried to force them apart. There would also be cycles where the arguments would stop for a period of time and then start up again. For whatever reasons, I don't really know. I remember there being a lot of tension, resentment and frustration around. What does this do to any relationship? It certainly doesn't bode well for great communication. I know people who knew Dad, particularly his own family, said Dad was always a quiet man. I don't know how much he was not saying about how he felt. I don't know the impact of working on a mundane job on the track at Rover when you'd once thought you were going to go to technical college. What I do know is Dad's way of dealing with stuff was to escape by going to the pub for a drink, putting his bet on and having a cigarette. The sorts of things that thousands of men do week in and week out all over the country. However, I know that his drinking also began to have an effect on the family, and when that person comes back in a state that creates more arguments and embarrassment while the neighbours can hear his singing coming up the street, that's difficult. When I was then 13, Mum told us she was pregnant, and then our younger brother came along. Actually, things seemed to settle down for a little while, but only for a while. The arguments continued and I had a sense Dad was unhappy. Then a devastating thing happened. He got knocked over and suffered a serious head injury, leaving him in hospital for 6 months. This was a very difficult time for everyone, but I suspect most for Mum and my younger brother. My younger brother was only 11, so to have your dad come home 6 months later, a changed man, must have been very confusing and hard to understand. By this point, I was actually not living at home anymore. When I did visit, I would find it very hard as Mum was very frustrated and seemed quite resentful to Dad. She would speak to him in what I thought was a really disrespectful way. I did sometimes tell her I didn't like it, but it was awkward. She would get really annoyed with me if I said anything, and to be honest, I was not the one that had him living with me all of the time. Although Dad was attending a day centre 5 days a week, Mom was still his main carer and had to deal with the changes in their relationship this brought. I can only imagine that if there was any bitterness before he had his accident, there must have been even more after for him leaving her in this situation. Mom must have felt all sorts of feelings towards him, including guilt for feeling so resentful. However, the one thing I know was that she did continue to have him live at home. Therefore, she must have felt some feelings towards him after 20 plus years of marriage. It would have been easier to have perhaps put him in a home, but she certainly didn't take that easy route. But then, Mom was also very proud, and sometimes pride is a good thing, and sometimes it can cause further heartache. Having pride can mean you appear strong and don't need others' help. People can respect you for soldiering on in the face of adversity. However, I also think holding on to pride can also mean you don't necessarily share your feelings with people about your fears and concerns. It can mean you don't ask for help, and when it's offered, it can cause embarrassment. It can mean you don't let people into your life because you don't want them to know what's going on. The one thing I know about my mum was that she was very proud of all her children. She did a lot for us and tried to protect us from a lot as well. So I think she carried a lot of burdens with her and Dad's marriage. She also physically put demands on her body, including walking miles every week with heavy bags of shopping as we had no car. We had no washing machine until most of us had grown up and moved away from home, so she washed all her clothes by hand every other day. I'm saying this because I think physically and emotionally she carried a lot. In 1999, aged 53, after suffering with a lot of back pain for a year, she was diagnosed with cancer of the bone marrow in her back. This was a very difficult time for all of us, and we went through a roller coaster of emotions for about a month, while she went from death's door and back to having hope that they could help her. Even then, in the midst of her being so ill, she reacted very angrily when I took Dad in to see her. It was hard to know, with his head injury, how much he understood, but I felt he needed to know how ill she was and that she may not live. He reacted by being very upset when he saw her. Mom became angry and said she didn't want to see him to see her like she was. Even though I felt she wasn't going to let him in, and there was a mixture of anger, embarrassment, and just too much upset for her to deal with in the end, it was too much. And she died 4 weeks after going into hospital for treatment. It felt very sad to know that she would not see me get married the following year, and she would not see my brother's little son be born. After Mum's death, Dad and my younger brother continued to live in the council house we'd grown up in. However, things did not work out, and I made the decision to find supported housing for Dad. He lived in his own flat with carer support for about 2 years, and then he became too much of a risk with his falls to stay there. He was only about 61 when I had to move him into a nursing home. This was a very difficult decision, as in many ways he was too young to go into a home. However, as he had no money or estate, there were no other choices available. He seemed to settle in okay to begin with, but to be honest, I think if most people had the choice, they would rather not put their mum or dad into a home. Over the next couple of years, I watched his health deteriorate until he was skin and bone, lying in a bed day after day. It seemed such a waste and no purpose to his existence. After holding on for a few months, he finally died at age 64, November 2005. Mum and Dad were both buried together in a double grave. Mum already had a large inscription on the stone, so we had one more line under Dad's added, which is, "Step softly, a dream lies buried here." And that relates to both of them. The dream they had for their future and their life together. maybe more than one dream about what they'd hoped for. And this brings me back to where I started. Photos of two young people with lives full of potential ahead of them and lives of potential unfulfilled. Time wasted perhaps on arguments, bitterness, resentfulness and frustration. But also two people wanting... I'm alright, by the way, I just find it quite hard. Two people wanting something different for their kids, trying to create a better future for them, but maybe not for themselves as well. So that's why, so that's why I coach, because I see the potential yet to be experienced in people, because I see desire and need in people to live their lives in a different way to what they're living now. To have someone hold your dreams and help you realise them now before it's too late. To have someone who holds your lives and every breath you take as a precious gift. Don't wait until someone has an accident before you realise what you've lost. Don't wait until someone dies before you realise what you've lost. Make your own life and that of others count, because they do. As someone pointed out to me, my mum and dad have given me a gift in their death. So let me share that gift with you. Oh, sorry. I'm fine, by the way. Just like I didn't. Oh, and the last part. I think because I got to a point where I think it connected with the sort of importance and the passion and the, I suppose, the sense of realness about, you know, how things affect you, and then also because, you know, there's such strength of desire and urgency about, yeah, how that connects with me in terms of what I want for others. It felt really quite sort of powerful. So thank you. So what I'm going to now do is I'm going to just read a couple of things. You know, sometimes I do question for the week or quotes and so on. So I think I'm going to do my question first, which seems really basic, but actually the question itself I think is quite inspiring. It makes you think about new and motivating things, because the question is, when was the last time you did something for the first time? So I'll read that out loud again. When was the last time you did something for the first time? And I think that question is really quite powerful to me and important, because I think it's really important that we all seek out new things, new opportunities, new people, new experiences, to really help us grow and develop, and to stay open-minded, to have new perspectives on things. And I think that is a way, that's growth, that's development. That's a way of being able to stay, you know, open to all sorts of things in life, really. So yeah, the question, when was the last time you did something for the first time? I think that's really important. And then a quote that I'd like to read to you. The quote's actually anonymous. It says, "These mountains that you were carrying, you were only supposed to climb." So I'll read that again. These mountains that you were carrying, you were only supposed to climb. And that really struck me. Said it's anonymous, the quote itself, but I just felt that sense of, you know, you can carry things so far, and then actually I think it's really important to know how you enable something to build you, to give you the stepping stones to get to a certain point. And then when you know when to let go of that, when to step onto something new, something different, as opposed to really making something feel quite sort of heavy. So I really, really like that sort of quote in particular. So I've got a few poems to share with you. One is one by Donna Ashworth, who I've been sharing some of her things now for a few weeks. And then I've actually got a couple of my own as well that I've created. So the first one by somebody called Donna Ashworth. I'm just going to take a sip of drink a minute. The first one's called What If? So what if? What if you're never ready? What if this is as close as being ready as you'll ever actually be? What if the biggest regret you have when you look back on your life is that you wasted time waiting to be better when you were already so very much enough? What if the last thought you have when your life comes to an end is that you didn't do enough living whilst you were alive? My friend, this is it. This is your life right here, right now. And let me tell you something. Somebody somewhere went to sleep last night assuming tomorrow would be a new day. And it wasn't. Today is the day. Every day is the day. Life waits for no one. Seize the moment, seize the day. Dance like nobody's watching. Watch the sunset. Eat the delicious cake. Put your bare feet on the cool grass. Be alive. Be alive. Put your hand on your chest and feel that heartbeat pulsing through your body. That's all you need to be ready. That is truly all the purpose you ever really need. You, my friend, are alive, so live. And that was called What If. Thank you, Karen. And then going to read another poem. This is one of my own. It's called Life. Shut up. Sit down. Be quiet. Be silent. Be still. Be non-verbal. Don't speak to me. Show up. Be creative. Take ownership. Take a risk. Let go for a while. No, really let go. What's missing? Balance, fun, humour, anger. Let go again. It's how you perceive yourself. We need to value ourselves. I'm holding on. I'm being human. I need to adapt. Let's look at us and what we bring. What's missing? Reflection, colour, play, vibrancy. Are you ever lonely? Do you feel like you're being torn into many pieces? I see the stuff of life. I see organised chaos. I see support. I can see the colour red. Endings and beginnings. I see wisdom. I see a shrine. I see relationships. There's connection and balancing everywhere. And that was called life. And then the other one that I'm going to read to you, which is my own one, is called Thank You. Thank you, my angel. Thank you, my angel. My angel, thank you. Thank you for your smile. My angel, your smile lights up the room. Your smile radiates warmth. Your smile has energy. It creates energy. Your smile creates laughter. Laughter creates more smile. My angel, where are you from? From a land far off, perhaps. Does it matter? Not really. You are here, and that's what counts. What counts is you don't allow anyone to take your smile away. Be careful with your smile. Don't give it away where it won't be appreciated. But how do you know it won't be appreciated until you smile? You have to take the risk. You have to take the courage, or they and you will never know. And then it will be a missed moment in time, never to return. So take the moment, grab the opportunities when offered, grab them for all they're worth, and then breathe life into them. Hold them lightly and gently. Touch safely. A dream lies here. And that was called Thank You. So, those are my poems. I'm now going to finish with my my chosen song. This one is actually a classical disco soul song, and just to tell you something about the song itself, it actually, when I looked it up and some of the background, it says it's a metaphor for the musical heat on the dance floor, which apparently at the time was called a raging fire. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but I think, you know, when there's tunes that really make you get on that dance floor and really light your fire and get you moving, I can imagine it being a raging fire. However, what was interesting, there was also a line in the song that also was chanted, and I found this really interesting actually, at the Watts riots in 1965, and apparently fires raging throughout Los Angeles neighbourhood, and this went on for about 6 days when there was a lot of unrest. So there are some other, you know, if you like, links to some of the phraseology in it. But as I said, the original reference was actually for the metaphor of it being the musical heat on the floor when you get on the floor and how much energy that creates. So, if you give us a second, I'm just going to put it on. And please feel free to sing and bop and dance along as you like.
Don't hold back on me, Peloton.
Right, it's adverts. Whenever I leave it a while, I have the adverts. Bum, 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 bum. Ooh, ooh. You ready, guys? Burn, baby, burn. Burn, baby, burn. Burn, baby, burn. Burn, baby, burn. To my surprise, 100 stories high. People getting loose, yo. They're getting down on the roof. The folks were flaming out of control. So entertaining. When the boogie started to explode, I heard somebody say, burn, baby, burn. Disco inferno, burn, baby, burn. Let that mother down, burn, baby, burn. Disco inferno, burn, baby, burn. Burn that mother down. Satisfaction came in a chain reaction. I couldn't get enough till had to self-destruct. The heat was on, rising to the top. Everybody's going strong, and that is when my spark got hot. I heard somebody say, burn, baby, burn. Disco inferno, burn, baby, burn. Burn that mother down, burn, baby, burn. Disco inferno, burn, baby, burn. Burn that mother down. Up above my head, I hear music in the air. That makes me know there's a party somewhere. Came in a chain reaction. I couldn't get enough, so I had to self-destruct. The heat was on, rising to the top. Everybody's going strong. That's when my spark got hot. I heard somebody say, burn, baby, burn. Disco inferno, burn, baby, burn. Burn that mother down, burn, baby, burn. Disco inferno, burn, baby, burn. Burn that mother down, burn, baby, burn. Disco inferno, burn, baby, burn. Burn that mother down, burn, baby, burn. Disco inferno, burn, baby, burn. Burn that mother down. Oh, that was very expressive, wasn't it? Really enjoyed that. So guys, thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to my array of sort of sharing. Hopefully you will have gained something from my sort of inspirations, whether it be my story that I was sharing in terms of my journal, or how it connects with my experience growing up. You know, it may have been that you quite like some of the sort of poems that were shared and so on, or you like the song at the end. But whatever that is, just look after yourselves. Lots of sort of really important self-care, and contact me, message me, let me know what your thoughts are, how you feel. If you need to connect, on some level, please feel free. But otherwise, I shall hopefully speak to you very soon, guys. So thank you. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, and I was going to say, yeah, I think definitely sort of watch that from the beginning. You can give me your thoughts on that. So thank you, guys. Lots of love. And I shall speak to you very soon. Take care. Bye.